Hi everyone, welcome back to Design Code, and today's video is going to be about design and prototype for iOS 18 and Figma. This course is divided into three main parts: design, prototype, and implementation. I'll guide you through designing a beautiful user interface for iOS using Figma, creating interactive and dynamic prototypes, and implementing your designs into code. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced designer, this course will provide you with practical knowledge and hands-on experience. You will be excited to create two iOS 18 designs, a car control app and an AI app, each with its unique style. In the first part, we will design a car control app inspired by Apple's CarPlay, Tesla, and other car apps. This design will be more complex and will help improve your skills and teach you how to use Figma effectively. You'll use custom shapes, create progress rings with the arc tool, learn how to use gradients to achieve the desired effect, and use blurs to make your design stand out. In the second part of the design episode, we will design an AI app inspired by Apple's intelligence. This app will have a simple, clean design focusing on how information is organized and displayed. We'll also add special touches like gradients and blurs in certain areas. As I mentioned, the course is divided into three main parts: design, prototype, and implementation. Each section covers a key aspect of iOS design. We'll start with the basics and move to advanced topics to ensure a strong foundation. You'll learn how to use and customize UI kits to speed up your design process and maintain consistency. Build wireframes to outline your app's structure and functionality. Master the basics of typography and follow Apple's guidelines for readability and accessibility. Integrate SF Symbol 6 into your design to create cohesive and attractive icons, making navigation easier for users. Use Figma's Auto Layout to design responsive layouts for different screen sizes. Lastly, understand color theory and Apple's guidelines to create dynamic color styles and gradients. The first part of the course is completely free. To learn about prototyping and implementation, just subscribe to Design Code. You'll get access to all our past and future courses, including early access to upcoming ones. In the premium content, you will learn to create adaptive layouts, use layout grids, manage spacing, build reusable components, create variants and variables in Figma, improve your prototyping skills, prepare designs for handoff, export to code, customize code, add animations in React Native, and understand the basics of Reanimated for engaging and visually appealing designs. To follow the course, you will need my Figma file. This file includes local color styles, color variables, assets, images, and components, including the original design and more. So let's get started. When you open a new Figma file, Figma provides 3 UI kits at your disposal. You can find them in the Assets panel or in the libraries. The 3 suggested UI kits are the Material 3 Design Kit, the Simple Design System, and the iOS 18 and iPadOS 18 UI Kit. If you are designing for Android, the Material 3 Design Kit is a must-have. It's the latest version of Google's design system and provides everything you need to create user interfaces on Android and other platforms. This kit includes 229 components and focuses on personalization and adaptability, allowing you to create unique and customized interfaces. It features UI elements like buttons, cards, dialogues, and menus, all designed with dynamic colors and improved accessibility. The Simple Design System by Figma helps you start designing faster with pre-built examples and components. It follows Figma's best practices and includes resources for web, mobile, and more. Key features are full-screen mockups, over 400 components with code support, Code Connect on paid plans, styles and variables for light and dark modes, and a collection of commonly used icons. This system helps you efficiently create cohesive and appealing interfaces. Apple's iOS 18 and iPadOS 18 UI kit helps you quickly create accurate iPhone and iPad designs. It includes components for common controls, design templates, text styles, color styles, materials, and layout guides. New features include color variables for system colors, modes for switching between app icon styles, updated app icon artwork, an examples page, a new iPadOS floating tab bar, improved instance properties for customization, and new control center and lock screen components with customizable controls. Meet the Design Code UI Kit, our all-in-one design system packed with hundreds of Figma UI components and templates, perfect for Framer integration. Our UI kit is currently $49. You may preview our UI kit on Figma to get an idea. We've organized everything meticulously with variables, variants, and adaptive layouts. What makes us special is its unique and personal theming. Imagine mood-setting backgrounds, color-absorbing glass elements, and shadows that make everything pop. Plus, it's super flexible, so you can create all sorts of amazing and diverse interfaces effortlessly. You can also access the free version, Design Code UI, Figma Design UI Kit, and Design System on the Figma community. However, the free version does not include full access to all elements. We're going to start by creating the frame. Press F and choose iPhone 14 and 15 Pro. Then, fill the background with pure black color. We're going to use the pre-made UI kits from Apple and Figma. To activate the library, go to the Assets panel next to the Layers panel. Click on the Libraries option. Then, add the iOS 18 and iPadOS 18 UI kit. To find specific components, use the search field in the Assets panel. Type Navigation Bar iPhone. Simply drag and drop the desired components onto the canvas, aligning it to the top and center horizontally. You can customize the component by adjusting its properties. You can change the style, toggle to show or hide an additional prompt, controls, and other attributes to fit your specific needs. Toggle to hide the background, change the title to charging, and hide the search field. Then, change the system color to dark mode in the layer properties. Add the home indicator and place it at the bottom of the frame. Again, change the system color to dark mode. Now, let's add the tab bar and place it at the bottom of the frame. The home indicator must be visible, so place its layer above the tab bar. Let's add the Figma UI kits in our file. Duplicate the frame, name the frame layer to Home Screen and Charging Screen. Search for the Avatar Block component from the Figma UI kits. We can remove the tab bar from the charging screen. What we're going to do now is replace the avatar block with the navigation bar on the home screen. However, we cannot edit components from other libraries directly. To do so, we need to detach the instance so we can customize it in our own way. Now I can replace the leading component with the avatar. Delete the title and select the contents container, go to Auto Layout property and add 16 on the left padding. We can remove layers that are not necessary. Select the avatar box and change the title to Hello followed by the user's name. The text box is set to auto height. Let's change it to auto width instead. Then, go back and change the description to include the name of the user's car and indicate whether the car is parked or not. Again, set to auto width. Now, let's change the variable mode to dark for the avatar box and the tab bar. In this section, we save time by using 2 UI kits instead of building components from scratch. Before every polished UI design, there are drafts and sketches. The first step is creating wireframes, which are simple visuals that plan the layout and content of a page. Think of wireframes as blueprints for apps and websites, similar to how architects use blueprints for buildings. They help organize content and ensure a smooth user experience, just like aligning each part of a building perfectly. There are three types of wireframes. Low-fidelity wireframes are simple sketches or digital drawings using basic shapes like rectangles, circles, and lines to represent elements. They are created quickly to focus on layout and structure. A mid-fidelity wireframe is more detailed than a low-fidelity one. It includes text, icons, and a detailed layout with clearer page interactions. Images are often represented as placeholders. If you already have a good design idea, mid-fidelity wireframes are ideal for refining and visualizing the overall structure and functionality. The third type of wireframe is high fidelity. This wireframe looks almost like the final design, with images, icons, colors, fonts, buttons, and backgrounds in place. It's ready to be turned into a working prototype. Starting with a high-fidelity wireframe isn't always best. When creating wireframes, it's important to consider how information is arranged and how users will navigate your design. Use common UI patterns that people are familiar with to make your design easier to understand and use. For examples, visit Mobbin to see a large collection of app screenshots sorted by category. In the Figma community, you can find many wireframe libraries and plugins. These resources offer pre-made components and templates to speed up your design process. Just search for wireframe kits or plugins in the Community tab to access these helpful tools. As you can see, we integrated components from the UI kits. Can you tell what kind of wireframes we're going to make? That's right, we will be working with mid-fidelity wireframes. We will add text styles from Apple and create shapes, but they won't have final visual elements like colors and auto layout. We're going to create another frame for the controls screen frame. Duplicate the charging screen frame and change the title for controls. I'm going to hide the other frames to focus on the controls screen. Press O and create an ellipse with a diameter of 300. This will be for the speedometer gauge. Duplicate the circle and change the size to 220, placing it below the larger circle. This will be for the speed mode gauge. Create another smaller circle, 80 by 80, and place it below the middle circle. This will be for the power button. Press R and create a rectangle with dimensions 64 by 426. This will be the vertical tab bar. This tab bar will feature different car functions with rounded corners on the inner side. Go to Edit mode and select the inner point. Press and hold Shift, then press the down key on your keyboard 5 times, moving the point down by 50 pixels. Do the same thing for the bottom inner point, pressing and holding Shift while pressing the up key 5 times to move the point up by 50 pixels. Select the 2 inner points and round the corners to 30. To avoid repeating the same process, duplicate the tab bar and flip it horizontally, then place it on the right side. The next step will focus on the charging screen. We'll start by creating the progress ring to define its structure and placement. Press O to activate the ellipse tool and create a circle with a diameter of 330. Hover over the edge of the circle until you see arc appear. Click on it and drag from the top or bottom to activate this tool. When you activate the arc tool, the arc properties will appear in the Frame Properties panel. Sweep controls how long the arc is and how much of the circle it covers. Adjusting this value will make the arc longer or shorter. Since I want to create a semi-progress ring, we will set the sweep to 50%, which is half of the circle. The arc start angle determines where the arc starts on the circle. You can change this value to set a different starting point for the arc. I want my half progress ring to start at the top, so I will change the value to 180. Ratio is the arc end angle defines where the arc ends. Changing this value will adjust the end point of the arc, effectively modifying the sweep of the arc as well. we're going to set it to 80%. We can also curve the corner of the shape, but I like to keep it that way. We're going to create a small progress ring to serve as the outline of the main progress ring. Duplicate the semi-progress ring, change its size to 350, and set the ratio to 98%. You've now learned about wireframing. Now let's move on to the next step, learning about typography and adding text to our wireframe. In this section, we'll explore the fundamentals and key aspects of typography in iOS design. Typography isn't just about choosing a font, it's a crucial part of iOS design that affects how users read and interact with your app. Good typography ensures your text is clear, readable, and visually appealing. It guides users through your app, making it easier for them to find and understand information. Let's start by learning the basics of typography. Knowing the anatomy of typography is a valuable skill for designers. It means understanding the structure of each character and how they fit together in a design. This knowledge will improve your design skills, making your text clearer and more attractive. A sender is the part of a lowercase letter that extends above the X height, such as in H. Descender is the part of a lowercase letter that extends below the baseline, such as in Y, P, and G. The X height is the height of the main body of lowercase letters, such as Y, P, O, G, R, A, and H. It is the height from the baseline, the line where the letters sit, to the top of these lowercase letters, excluding any parts that extend above or below this main body, like the top of H or the tail of Y. Baseline is the invisible line upon which most letters sit, serving as a reference point for aligning text. Leading is the vertical space between lines of text. It's measured from the baseline of one line of text to the baseline of the line above it. Cap height is the height of capital letters from the baseline to the top of the letter. A font family is a group of similar-looking fonts with different variations, for example, the San Francisco font family. SF Pro and SF Pro Rounded. These fonts are used in iOS, iPadOS, macOS, and tvOS. They make text easy to read and look consistent across devices. SF Compact and SF Compact Rounded. These fonts are designed for smaller text and narrow spaces. They are mainly used in watchOS. And then, the SF Mono, which is used for coding in Xcode and Swift playgrounds. A typeface is the overall design of characters, like San Francisco. A typeface represents a group of related fonts. A font, however, refers to a specific style, weight, and size within that typeface. Designers have thousands of typefaces to choose from, and the first step is deciding between fonts with serifs and fonts without serifs. Serif and sans serif fonts are the most commonly used font categories in typography. Serif fonts have a taper or decorative stroke added to the letters, such as Times New Roman. Sans serif fonts, on the other hand, don't have such strokes. With no strokes and tails, sans serif fonts look clean and simple, like San Francisco. Text should be easy to read at any size. Use font sizes and weights that ensure readability for most people. For iOS, use a minimum font size of 11 points. Avoid using light font weights. Choose regular, medium, semi-bold, or bold weights instead. Create a clear visual hierarchy by using different font sizes, weights, and styles. This helps users understand the content structure and navigate it easily. Typography hierarchy arranges and organizes text visually to guide the reader's attention and show the importance of different elements. Maintain good contrast between the text and the background to make your text easy to read. If your background is dark, use light-colored text. If your background is light, use dark-colored text. Keep your lines between 45 to 90 characters to make reading easier and more engaging. Long lines can be tiring because the reader has to move their eyes a lot, and the excitement of moving to a new line happens less often. Line height is the vertical space between lines of text. A general guideline for setting line height is to make it about 1.5 times the font size. For example, if your font size is 16px, your line height should be around 24px. Proper line height ensures the text isn't too cramped or too spread out. Text styles in Figma are pre-defined sets of typographic properties such as font family, size, weight, color, and spacing. They ensure a consistent look across your design, save time with quick updates, and maintain brand alignment. We'll use Apple's text styles to match iOS guidelines, ensuring our typography is readable, accessible, and consistent with Apple's design standards. Let's return to our workspace and select the charging screen frame. We haven't finished our wireframe yet, so let's start by structuring our progress ring. Press T to activate the text tool. We'll type the percentage of the charging status, let's say 75%. Set the text to auto width, and the text box will automatically adjust its width to fit the content. Change the font to SF Pro Display. Set the weight to bold, which is thicker. Designers often use bold for headings, important information, or to draw attention to specific parts of the text. Finally, adjust the font size to 48. Align the text in the center. Below the percentage, we'll add a label indicating that the user is using fast charging. I want the text to be in uppercase, so go to the type settings and select uppercase. In the right-hand Properties panel, click on the Text Style drop-down and choose the style Caption to Regular. You'll see the text styles of all the libraries you've added. We'll use the text style from the Apple library. Scroll down until you find Caption to. Of course, don't forget to set it to auto width. Next, we'll add the charging status information like the station number, speed, and remaining time. We'll make the headings larger and the subheadings smaller to make everything easy to read and understand. Choose the large title Emphasize text style. Now type station using the Caption 1 regular text style. Remember to always set the text box to auto width, except for long text. Duplicate the text, change to number using the footnote Emphasize text style. Group these three text layers together. Duplicate two more the group you just created and change the content to represent the charging speed and the remaining time. Now, let's add the start and end times of the charging session. Type start time using the Caption 1 regular style. Duplicate the text, change it to a random time, and use the footnote Emphasize style. Group the two text layers, duplicate them, and change the text for the end time. Naming your layers is important for organization, so let's rename all the layers. Let's add the charging station information. Press T and type a random name for the charging station using the body emphasized style. Then, duplicate and change the text to a random address using the footnote regular text style. Create a temporary rectangle. We will add an image of the charging station in the next section. Group the three layers and name the group. We'll of course be adding buttons for customer service. Let's start with a circle, which we will replace it with an icon. Write Need Assistance using the subheadline regular style. Group the two layers, duplicate, and change the text. Below the Experiencing Slow Charging button, add instructional text to guide users on how to stop charging. We're going to change the text resizing to auto height. This means the text box will expand or shrink vertically based on the amount of text inside it without changing the width. Next, change the text style to Caption 1. In this area, we'll later create a floating layout that will display the charging price and a button to stop charging. Type the price using the Title II text style and stop charging using the callout text style. In this section, you've learned the essentials of typography, including its importance, key concepts, and practical applications. With a solid understanding of how to effectively use type in your designs, you're now ready to enhance your skills further. In the next section, we'll focus on adding icons to your designs, exploring how they can complement your typography and improve user experience. Text is powerful, but combining it with icons makes your design more engaging and user-friendly. Icons complement your typography and improve navigation, helping users find their way more easily. In this section, we'll explore SF symbols, discover what's new in SF Symbols 6, and learn how to integrate these icons into your design for a better user experience. SF Symbols is Apple's icon library with over 6,000 symbols for consistent and accessible iOS app design. Integrated with the San Francisco font, these symbols are available in 9 weights and 3 scales. If you haven't already done, download the SF Symbols app from the Apple developer website. I recommend watching the videos on SF Symbols 4 and SF Symbols 5 on developer.apple.com before exploring what's new in SF Symbols 6. This year, Apple introduced exciting updates to SF Symbols. There are 3 new animation presets: Wiggle, Rotate, and Breathe, making icons more dynamic. Existing presets like Replace and Variable Color have smoother transitions. The SF Symbols app now has better tools for customizing animated symbols. Plus, over 800 new symbols were added, bringing the total to over 6,000, giving designers more options. Let's open the SF Symbols app and discover the updates to improve user experience and customization. The Animation Inspector includes 3 new presets: Wiggle, Rotate, and Breathe for dynamic animations. You can use Wiggle to highlight changes, call to action, and add dynamic emphasis. It moves symbols horizontally, vertically, or rotationally, clockwise, counterclockwise. Customizable angles allow for specific orientations, and many symbols have built-in preferred directions, but you can always customize them. Rotate adds dynamic movement, mimicking real-world object behavior or acting as visual indicators. Some symbols can fully rotate, while others can rotate specific parts. Breathe smoothly increases and decreases symbol presence, giving a lifelike quality. It conveys status changes or indicates ongoing activities. Unlike Pulse, which changes only opacity, Breathe uses both opacity and size changes. For more details, I recommend checking out what's new in SF Symbols 6. The SF Symbols animation presets can only be used in Xcode. Unfortunately, we can't create these animations in Figma, but we may be able to reproduce them using interactive components. Let's go back to where we left off. You can see that we didn't finish adding the wireframe and text for the home screen. Let's focus on this screen first. We'll continue adding text and symbols. In the next section, we'll finally do our layouts using Auto Layout, my favorite part. At the top, right there will be an image of the user's car, so we'll leave a blank space. Let's start with the Quick Access panel. Type Software Update using Auto Width and the callout emphasize text style. Duplicate the text, change the text to Connect to Wi-Fi to download, and change the text style to subheadline regular. Duplicate the 2 texts and change the text. Of course, it's hard to visualize the layout without creating a shape, but I know we'll be deleting it later, which is why I'm skipping this step. I'll just create a rectangle to give you a little idea. Looking at this layout, what would we need to make our layout more user-friendly? Separation and icons. I'll check to see if I can find some in the UI kits instead of creating them from scratch. In my original design, I used dividers from the Design Code UI kits, but if you don't have access, we'll use the ones from Figma. I can't wait to add some color in the next sections. Our design will change completely. We're missing icons for each part, so let's jump into the SF Symbols app. You will need the square and arrow up and then the iPhone symbols. Copy the symbol from the SF Symbols app and paste it into your Figma project. Place the download symbol next to Software Update. Then place the iPhone symbol next to Phone Key. After that, we can adjust the color, size, and weight. Let's change the font to SF Pro. I don't know why it's set to expanded medium, so I'm going to change it and increase the size to 20. We could add a symbol like an arrow pointing to the right to guide the user. This way, they can click on the button and it will take them to the appropriate page. Now let's jump into the battery health layout. Simply duplicate the two texts from the Quick Access panel. Change the text to battery health and then to charge cycles 350. Duplicate the arrow as well. We need the bolt symbol. Then change the arrow symbol to 17. Place the bolt symbol at the bottom of the text and type the percentage of battery health, for example 90%, using title 1 emphasized. Now we need a progress bar. Press R to create a rectangle, let's say 300 by 10, and round the corners. Then we're going to group and name our layers. For the charge station layout, we will need an image of the location. Let's create a temporary rectangle. We will also need a location symbol. Type a random name for the station using callout emphasized and make sure to set it to auto width. Duplicate it, change it to a random address of the station, and change the style to footnote regular. Duplicate it and write the distance to this station. Then, add a symbol so the user knows they can click to see the full info about this charging station. Let's go to the navigation bar and change the icon to a notification. Type bell in the SF Symbols app and you will see the notification symbol. Select the trailing component and paste the new symbol into the component properties. We'll move on to the tab bar. I've moved the tab bar to the canvas outside the frame to focus on it. You'll need these 4 symbols: house, car, lock, and lightning bolt. Copy the symbol, the shortcut is Command+C, and paste it into the component properties in the symbol value. The shortcut is Command+V. Do the same thing for the other symbols. Toggle tab 5 to hide it. We only need 4 tabs. The tab bar includes labels, making navigating easier for users. In my original design, I didn't add labels, but you can keep them if you like. If you do, the first tab is Home, for the main dashboard with an overview of the car's status. The second tab is Controls, showing the car's status, battery level, tire pressure, and maintenance alerts. The third tab is Security, for locking and unlocking doors, enabling or disabling the alarm system, and viewing camera feeds. The last tab is Charging, where users can find nearby charging stations, check charging status, schedule charging times, and monitor battery health. We're going to put the tab bar back in our frame. Now, I want to create a floating tab bar. It's very important to have the same margin. For example, in our navigation bar, the margin is 16. We're going to set the layout grid using columns to guide us. I will cover the topic of layout and grid in more detail in the following sections. Set the margin value to 16, which indicates a 16-pixel margin on the left and right sides of the layout. Select the tab bar and adjust its edges right up to the red line. Ungroup the frame and delete the material. Select the tab bar button made using Auto Layout, set the vertical padding to 10, temporarily fill it with the color black. Round the corners to 50. I will remove the labels, but you can keep it if you want. Then, you will have to center each symbols. Let's go to the charging screen and add a settings icon to the navigation bar. Type gear in the search field in the SF Symbols app. Type back in the left label value in the leading section. Next to the percentage, we need the bold symbol. Change the size to 30. Let's move on to the customer service section. We'll need two symbols, the question mark and the bold triangle badge symbols. All that's left is to add icons to the control screen. You will need the following symbols: car, fan, parking sign, steering wheel, gauge, windshield, car seat left heat waves, and then car top door front. We've finished integrating SF symbols into our design. Next, we'll create our layout using Auto Layout. This crucial step will make our design adaptive and responsive. Let's move forward. Auto Layout lets designers create responsive designs easily. It allows elements to adjust automatically based on their content and settings. You can set padding, spacing, and alignment so components resize and move smartly as content changes. Let's jump into it. Let's explore the Auto Layout properties. We'll start with direction, which determines how elements are arranged within a frame. You can set it to arrange items vertically, horizontally, or to wrap onto multiple lines. Each option helps create responsive and organized layouts. The wrap option allows elements to flow onto the next line when they reach the edge of the container, creating a new row or column. Spacing is the distance between elements within a frame, helping to keep your layout organized. Use gap between items when you want all items to have equal spacing. Auto spacing automatically adjusts the spacing between items based on the available space and the size of the elements. It's perfect for creating flexible layouts that adapt to different screen sizes and content variations. Padding is the space inside a container between its border and the content. Horizontal padding is the space added to the left and right sides of the content within a container, and vertical padding is the space added to the top and bottom of the content within a container. You can set the alignment for child objects to control how they are positioned within their parent frame. There are 9 layout options for aligning the children within a frame, allowing you to choose the best positioning for your design. Fixed size keeps an element's dimensions constant, no matter what's inside it or changes in the parent container. This is useful for elements that need to stay a specific size. The hug content option makes an element resize based on its content. This is great for text boxes or labels that need to adjust to fit the text inside them. The fill container lets elements expand to fill the available space in their parent container. This is great for responsive designs where elements need to adjust to different screen sizes. Absolute position allows you to place the element exactly where you want, ignoring the surrounding elements. It's great for creating unique layouts or keeping specific elements in a fixed position, giving you precise control over your design. Min and max width allow you to control the minimum and maximum size an element can take, ensuring your design stays functional and visually consistent across different screen sizes. In the previous sections, we covered the basics of UI kits, typography, and icons, giving you the building blocks for a great design. Now it's time to put these elements into a cohesive and adaptive layout. That's where Auto Layout in Figma comes in. Let's focus on the charging screen. Select the first group, which is the station. We're going to put the 2 text elements in a new container. Right-click and select Auto Layout or use the shortcut Shift+A. This way, we can set our layout to be either vertical or horizontal. I want my layout to be from top to bottom, so set it to vertical layout. Then you have the gap between items, which is the spacing between the elements. Set a specified gap to precisely determine the desired separation between objects. Let's set it to 4. Then, select the new container with the other text and add another auto layout with a spacing of 4. Let's rename the new container and then remove the group. Repeat the same process for the speed and time containers. Next, we'll group the 3 new containers into a single container using Auto Layout. But first, let's add a separator between them. Press L to create a line, duplicate it, and place it between speed and time. Now select everything and place them into Auto Layout. For spacing, set it to Auto, which arranges objects with the maximum possible distance between them. Duplicate the separator and place it between the starting and ending time. Do the same thing with the starting and ending time. Set them into Auto Layout with a spacing of 4. Select the starting container, the separator, and the ending time and put them into another layout. We're going to add a separator from the Figma UI kit and place it between the 2 main containers. Finally, put everything into a single container, which will become the parent container. I'll temporarily add the white color with 10% opacity. Are you looking forward to finally adding color and gradients? It's coming, friends! In the next step, that's exactly what we're going to do. I will set the layout grid to guide me in creating my layout. Set the margin to 16. Then, drag the edge to the red line. Set the padding to 16 for both vertical and horizontal, which lets you control the space between the edges of an auto layout frame and its child elements. Also, set the spacing to 16. Round the corners and let's move on to the percentage. Add the bolt symbol and the text into auto layout with a spacing of 8 and align them in the center. Then create a label for fast charging. Add auto layout and set the spacing and padding to 10. And then we're going to add a stroke and round the corner. Let's head to the charging station information layout. As always, group the 2 texts together. Change the size of the rectangle to 80 by 80. Then assemble everything into a single layout. Set the spacing to 8 and the padding to 8 as well. What is the design rule for aesthetic rounded corners? It's very simple. You just have to do a little math. The formula is outer corner minus padding equals inner corner, or the opposite. I'll activate the layout grid again to guide me with my layout. Once again, drag the edges to the red line. Do you see that the child frame doesn't fit within the container? We could set it to fill container, but this would cause the second text to break into 2 lines. Instead, I'll change the text size to footnote. I find that it lacks spacing between the 2 texts, so I'm going to change it to 8. For both icons, we'll put them in a 44 by 44 container. Make sure they are centered. Then, put the icon container and the text in another container and change the size to 361. Temporarily fill it with white color at 10% opacity and round the corners. Set the spacing to 8. Repeat the same process. We're going to add the text into the layout. This will be our stop charging button. Fix the height to 44. Do the same thing for the other text. Fill the stop charging button with color and round the corner. Then add the 2 containers into one and set the width to 361. Temporarily fill the layout, set the horizontal and vertical padding to 10 and center the child container. Next, select each child container and set it to fill container to expand to match the width of its parent frame. For the spacing, we're going to set it to auto. For the final step on this screen, round the corners. Let's go to the home screen frame. In this empty area, we will add a photo very soon. For this icon, we don't need to place it inside a container because the user doesn't have to click on it. On the other hand, the arrow must be placed inside a 44 by 44 container because it's a button that the user will click on. Add Auto Layout to the two texts and set the spacing between them to 4. Then, select the icon and the new text box container and place them into a single container, spacing them 8 between each. Then, select the two containers and add Auto Layout. Set 16 vertically and horizontally and Auto for the gap between items. Repeat the same process. You can see that the frame exceeds the main frame, so don't worry. Just set it to hug content for now and we'll fix it later. Add the two layouts and the separator together. Resize the layout to 361 for the width and fill it with the same color. Align the layout in the center, press Option to see the spacing, and ensure it is 16 from each side. Round the corners, align the child container in the center, and set all the child containers to Fill Container. And set the spacing between them to 0. Now let's work on the battery health layout. Simply duplicate the arrow button and paste it to replace of the old one. Add Auto Layout to the two texts with the same spacing, which is 4. Then add the text box container and the button. Select the lightning symbol and the percentage text and add them to an auto layout. Next, select this new container and add Auto Layout with the progress bar. Then, select the two containers and add them into a single auto layout. Set the width to 361. Set the padding to 16 for both vertical and horizontal layouts. Align the layout in the center of the frame and round the corners. For spacing, we'll also set it to 16 and set all child containers to fill the main container. Let's move to the last step of this frame, which is the charging station layout. Group the three texts into auto layout with a spacing of 4. Add the arrow inside a container of 44 by 44 and select the text box and the location icon together inside another auto layout. Then, assemble everything together in a single auto layout. Set the padding to 8 for both vertical and horizontal. Now, select the rectangle, which will be replaced with an image. Change the width to 361 and align it in the center of the frame. I want to ensure there is an 8-pixel margin on the left, right, and bottom. Currently, the right margin is 9 pixels, so I need to change the width to 345 pixels to achieve this consistent spacing. Do you remember the tip for the corner radius? Let's do some math. Outer corner, 20, minus padding, 8, equals inner corner, 12. Oops, I forgot to set the space between icon and text box at 8. Let's move to the last frame. We'll create the side menu using auto layout, combining it with a custom shape using absolute position. First of all, you need to put all the icons in a 44 by 44 container because the user will be tapping on the options. We also need to rename our layers. Once this is done, select everything, put it in another auto layout and set the width to 64. We'll change the height to match the custom shape, which is 426, then align it within the custom shape. We're going to set the spacing to 40. Select the side menu and the custom shape. Add auto layout, then select the side menu again and activate absolute positioning, which allows you to place an object exactly where you want it to be. Align the tab bar with the custom shape. I leave you with the task of doing the same for the right side menu. You can rewind and pause the video at any time. We've reached the exciting part. It's time to bring our design to life. In this section, we'll explore how to use colors and gradients effectively. Colors do more than look good. They enhance communication, create visual continuity, convey status, and improve the visual hierarchy. We're going to start by learning about color theory, which is essential for creating compelling and visually appealing designs. Primary colors are the building blocks of all other colors. The three primary colors are red, blue, and yellow. These colors cannot be created by mixing other colors. They are the source from which all other colors are derived. Secondary colors are created when you mix two primary colors. For example, mixing red and blue produces purple. Then, when you mix blue and yellow, you will get green. And when you mix yellow and red, you will get orange. Tertiary colors are created by mixing a primary color with a neighboring secondary color on the color wheel. The color wheel is a circular diagram illustrating the relationships between primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. Let's talk about color harmonies, which are combinations of colors that look good together and create balance. Complementary colors are pairs of colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. For example, red and green, blue and orange, and yellow and purple are complementary colors. Split complementary colors use three colors, one base color and the two colors next to its opposite color on the color wheel. Analogous colors are groups of colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. For example, blue, blue-green, and green are analogous colors. They usually match well and create serene and comfortable designs. Triadic colors are three colors that are evenly spaced around the color wheel. This means that they form an equilateral triangle when connected. Tetradic colors use four colors that form two complementary pairs on the color wheel. Square colors use four colors evenly spaced around the color wheel, forming a square shape. This scheme provides a balanced and vibrant look with a mix of warm and cool colors. Monochromatic colors use different shades, tints, and tones of a single color. This creates a cohesive and harmonious look, making designs feel balanced and unified. For example, using light blue, medium blue, and dark blue together is a monochromatic color scheme. Neutral tones are essential in design, acting as natural neutralizers to prevent designs from being overwhelming. They are ideal for backgrounds, providing a calm and harmonious backdrop that highlights other elements. Common neutral tones include white, black, and various shades of gray, which help balance the design and allow other colors to stand out. Now, let's talk about iOS color guidelines. Starting with iOS palette, Apple uses a specific color palette in their native apps to ensure consistency and brand recognition. Apple provides predefined system colors to ensure consistency and accessibility across different apps and interfaces. These colors automatically adapt to various system settings, such as light and dark modes, providing a seamless user experience. For my design, I use custom colors instead of Apple's system colors. I'll guide you with tips for creating a color palette that improves your app's look and shows its unique personality. The first thing is to understand your brand. For our car control app, the brand focuses on safety, reliability, ease of use, excitement, and innovation. Custom colors should match your brand's personality and values. The design should highlight advanced features that simplify car management and improve the driving experience. The app should offer easy navigation, real-time vehicle monitoring, remote control, personalized settings, and seamless connectivity with the vehicle. To choose your color palette, consider color psychology, which evokes various emotions. For our design, I chose red and blue, complementary colors that are highly visible. Red highlights critical alerts and is associated with excitement and speed. To balance red's intensity, I use a less saturated tone and combine it with blue, which conveys calmness and safety. This combination ensures a balanced and user-friendly design. Once you understand your brand and values and have chosen your color palette, make sure to maintain sufficient contrast between text and background colors. We will use neutral colors for the background and text to ensure clarity and readability. Ensure that your custom colors are accessible to all users, including those with visual impairments. Use tools like contrast checkers to verify that text and background colors meet accessibility standards. The last thing is consistency. Assign specific colors to particular elements such as buttons and use them consistently throughout your design. This helps create a cohesive look and feel, making it easier for users to navigate and interact with your app. Now that we understand the fundamentals of color, it's time to apply this knowledge to our design. We'll use color variables and color styles throughout this section. A color style is a predefined set of color properties used consistently across a design to maintain uniformity and cohesion. It allows designers to apply specific colors to multiple elements easily, making it simple to update colors globally and ensure consistency throughout the design. The first step before adding color to our design is to add the images. You can find the images I'm using in the asset page of my Figma file. These images are generated by Midjourney, but you can also choose your own from Unsplash, Pexels, or FreePic. Copy the car image and paste it on the home screen in the empty area. Make sure to place the image layer at the bottom of the layer list, then align the image at the top and center it. The next image we need is the map. We will replace the rectangle with it. Resize the image to the same dimensions as the rectangle. The last image that we need is the charging station. Press on K to activate the scale tool and resize it to the same dimension as the rectangle, which is 80 by 80. After that, round the corner to 12. And set the corner radius to 20 for the map image. I haven't applied Auto Layout yet for the charging station on the home screen, only for the text. We will rename it. Select the text box and the image together and put them in an auto layout. Don't forget the shortcut is Shift+A. Go to the direction box and change it to a line at the bottom and center. Make sure to set the padding to 8 on both the vertical and horizontal. It's time to apply the colors. As mentioned, we will use a mix of color variables and color styles. Select the 3 frames, search for background, and select frame. The next step is to add color to our text. To switch between dark and light modes easily, we'll use color variables instead of color styles. For primary content, use the foreground primary color variable. For secondary content, use the foreground secondary color variable. Also, use the foreground secondary color variable for the symbols. However, we will choose the color green for the bold symbol that represents charging, so use the mint green color variable. Let's move to the charging screen and apply the foreground color variables to the text. I'll go into fast mode. Pause whenever you need and resume the video when you're ready. For this supplementary information, we'll use the foreground tertiary color variable. Now it's time to add colors to the layouts. This time, we will use color styles simply because I am using gradients, and it's easier to show you this way. You can also create gradients with color variables, which I will explain in the second design section. For the layouts, we will use the container color style. For the stroke, we will use the container border color style. For separators or dividers, use the divider color style. Do you see a problem? It's not visible, but the 2 containers don't have the same setting. The spacing of the phone key container is not set to auto. Let's fix it. That's much better. Fixing this small but crucial detail makes a big difference. Let's move on to the battery health section and apply the color styles to our layout. Next, put the rectangle in a frame by selecting the rectangle, right-clicking, and choosing Frame Selection. Duplicate the progress bar and rename it to Base. fill the progress bar layer with the gradient blue-red color style. Adjust the edge of the progress bar to approximately 90%. For the base, I will use the same royal blue accent color but with 30% opacity. We are going to create an active state for the button, meaning when the user clicks on the button, it will change. Fill the button with black color, round the corners to 50 to make a circle shape, and add the container border color style for the stroke. If you are creating a prototype, it is important to create a normal or disabled state, a hover state, and an active state. Let's move on to the next layout. Select the parent container and add a stroke using the container border style. Then, select the text layout inside the parent container, fill it with the container color style, and add a background blur to create a nice glass effect. Set the blur to 20. Change all the text colors. Since the mode is set to light and the text is black, just change the mode to dark and it will become white. Finally, add a stroke using the container border color style. Repeat the same process. Select the layouts from the charging screen frame, then fill with container color style and add stroke using container stroke color style. For the additional information, resize to 361 and align to center. Let's go to charging status. Change the color for the bolt symbol and also the fast charging label using mint green color. We'll reframe the semi-progress ring in a frame approximately 361 by 182. Place the progress layer in the frame. Then select the charging info layout and the progress bar frame in an auto layout with no spacing. Group the percentage and the fast charging in a container using auto layout, set the spacing to 8, and align the new container to the charging status info container. Select the parent container, detach the stroke style, delete the first color, keep only the solid color, change the opacity to 10%, change it from solid to a linear gradient, and change the two stop colors to white. The stop color at the top is 0%, and at the bottom, it is 100%. We'll remove the curve at the top of our container and leave only the corners at the bottom. Duplicate the progress layer, name it the base, and fill it with royal blue with an opacity of 30%. For the progress ring, fill it with a gradient blue-red. Now select the outline and fill it with royal blue color with an opacity of 30%. Select the two progress layers, press K to activate the resize tool, and resize to 340. Then adjust the sweep of the progress ring. Let's do the spacing and organize the layers properly. The spacing between the navigation bar and the charging status should be 16. The spacing between each container should be 24 except for the same categories, which means the two customer service buttons are in the same category, so the spacing between them will be 16. For the additional information, we'll set a spacing of 16 from the buttons. Select the Stop Charging button, fill with gradient blue-red, and add stroke using container border color style. We've finished with the charging frame. For the home screen, there are still a few details to finalize, like changing the color of the symbol in the navigation bar and spacing. We've finished two screens. We'll proceed to the next section. Now, let's dive into gradients. We'll start by looking at the different types of gradients and what makes each one special. Then, we'll get hands-on with adding gradients in Figma. You'll learn how to create cool gradient effects that really make your design stand out. Gradients are smooth transitions between colors, blending one hue into another. They are popular in app design because they add depth, dimension, and visual interest. Designers use gradients to make flat designs more dynamic and engaging. Gradients can guide the viewer's eye, highlight important elements, and create a sense of movement or light. Figma offers several types of gradients: linear, radial, angular, and diamond. Linear gradients create a smooth transition between colors along a straight line. They are perfect for backgrounds, buttons, and other UI elements where you want a simple directional color shift. You can adjust the angle of the gradient to control the direction of the color transition. Radial gradients transition colors outward from a central point, creating a circular effect. They are great for highlighting specific areas, creating spotlight effects, or adding depth to buttons and icons. You can adjust the center point and radius to control how the gradient spreads and focuses. Angular gradients, also known as conic gradients, transition colors around a central point in a circular pattern. They are perfect for creating pie charts, color wheels, and other circular design elements. The gradient moves around the edge, blending colors smoothly in a circular motion. Diamond gradients transition colors outward in a diamond shape from a central point. They can add a unique, eye-catching effect to your designs. This type of gradient is great for creating a sense of depth and focus on specific areas. You can adjust the center point and size to control how the gradient spreads, making it versatile for various design elements. Let's go back to where we left off and finish the tab bar. We're going to add the same color style for the container and the stroke, then create the active state. Let's finish the tab bar and add the same color style for the container and the stroke. We're going to add background blur for a nice glass effect. Then, change the height to 64 to have the same height as the bottom navigation from the charging frame. If you don't add a label, then change the alignment to the center. Let's create an active state for the tab when a user clicks on it and how the tab bar will appear. There are multiple ways to do this, but I will keep it simple. Start by creating a circle 44 by 44 and placing it behind the symbol. Fill it with black and duplicate the circle layer. This is going to be the outline. Change the size to 54. I will add a random color to see this circle. Activate the arc tool. Set the ratio to 82% and the sweep to 100%. Choose a linear gradient using the color white, with the first stop set to 0% and the second to 100%. Place the direction to diagonal, set the fill to 10%, and add layer blur to 4. The white blur outline around the home icon creates a glowing or halo effect that adds depth and guides the viewer's attention to it. Select the base circle again. Add a stroke using the gradient blue-red, detach the style, and modify the color direction to be vertical. Change the symbol color to foreground primary. Name the layer to base and duplicate. This new circle will be for the glow. Select the circle for the glow, remove the stroke, and fill it with a gradient blue-red. Add layer blur to 20, change the color direction, place the blue color in the middle, and add a third color stop at the top using black color with 0 opacity. Also, change the color for the other symbols. Let's jump to the last screen. Start with the side menu. Select the base and fill it with the container color style. Detach it and change the direction. The color stop with 0% opacity should be on the edge side. Move the color stop to the edge of the frame and move the other stop to the edge of the side menu. Now, change the color of the symbols to foreground secondary. Next, let's add a stroke using the same color style for the border. I will detach it and modify it. Delete the solid color, keeping only the linear one, and change the blend mode from overlay to normal. Change the gradient direction to horizontal and adjust the gradient handle. Then, set the fill opacity to 10%. To avoid repeating the same process, simply copy the properties of the base and paste them onto the base on the other side. And of course, change the color of the symbols as well. Let's go to the speedometer. Select the outline and change the opacity to 10%. Then select the base, duplicate it, and name the duplicate Progress. Select the Progress base and fill it with the same blue at 30% opacity. For the Progress, fill it with the gradient from blue to red and adjust the sweep. I will detach it and change the gradient to angular. A linear gradient doesn't give the desired effect on a round shape because it transitions colors in a straight line. For a circle, it's better to use an angular gradient as it wraps around the shape, creating a more natural and visually appealing look. Adjust the first color stop to be positioned at the top. Then place the second color stop, the blue one, where the progress starts. Duplicate the progress indicator, name the layer and add layer blur to 30. Select the ticks, choose angular, and place the two color stops at the top next to each other. The first color should be red and the color to the right should be blue. Place the blue color stop right behind the red one. This will create a clear separation between the red and blue sections. Add two more color stops. Set the color to royal blue and place them at each end of the progress. Set the opacity to 0%. The reason for doing this is to hide the ticks in this area. We are going to create an outline. Press O and create a circle with a size of 174. Make sure the layer is in the same group and well centered. Fill it gradient blue-red color style. Change the direction so that the red color is at the top, then set the blue color to 0%. Let's move to the progress indicator at the bottom, which is the remaining range indicator. Select the shape layer and duplicate it. Name the bottom layer base and the other progress. Select the progress layer and fill it with the gradient blue-red color style. Adjust the sweep and the start handle and ensure the progress starts from the left. Then select the base layer, fill it with the same royal blue, and reduce the opacity to 30%. You will need an EV charger symbol, then customize it to regular and set the font size to 13 and fill with foreground secondary color. Next to the symbol, type the range using the footnote text style. Also, fill the text with the foreground secondary color. Group the symbol and the text into one container using Auto Layout with a spacing of 8. Make sure to place it at the center. Then let's organize and name the layers correctly. Now we're going to create a frame of 163 by 66, providing enough space to include both containers. And make sure both containers are in the frame. We're going to create the tick marks. Instead of using a dashed line, we'll use dots for the tick marks. Press O and create a circle with a diameter of 266, then align it in the center. Remove the fill and add a stroke using the color white. Set the width to 3 and the alignment to center. Then, change the stroke style to dashed, set the dash value to 0.5 and the gap value to 100, and select round for the dash cap and join. I only want to delete the dot at the bottom, but if I delete it, the whole shape will be removed. So I have to convert the layer into an outline stroke so I can remove the bottom point. Select the layer, right-click and click on Outline Stroke, or use the shortcut Option plus Command plus O. Then go to Edit Mode, delete the dot at the bottom, and adjust the 2 points at the bottom to fit the edge of the progress. Let's add the speed label. Press T and type the first speed value using the caption to text style. Make sure to set the text container to auto width and fill it with the foreground secondary color. Duplicate the text and change the speed values. Position each text label next to the dots and make sure the text labels are evenly spaced and aligned with the tick marks. Let's add the speed value using SF Pro Display with a font size of 80. Set the text container to auto width and the line height to auto, which means that the line height will automatically adjust to fit the text size. Then choose the heavy font weight. At the bottom of the speed value, let's type MPH using the Title 3 text style. Set to auto width and fill it with the foreground secondary color. Group the two text elements into one container using Auto Layout with no spacing. Organize and name the layers, then place them in the speedometer group. Align the text box within the group. The last step for the speedometer gauge is to add a glow effect at the top left of the circle. Start by creating a circle and filling it with the same gradient color using a radial gradient fill. Adjust the gradient direction diagonally. Add a layer blur effect and increase the blur value to create a subtle glow effect. Also, reduce the opacity to enhance the subtlety of the glow. I'm going to readjust and expand my circle. Again, let's organize and name the layers. Let's move on to the drive mode gauge. Select the arc circle and go to the fill options. Choose the angular gradient fill. Add 4 color stops around the circle. The first color stop is red and the second color stop is blue. Place the red and blue stops close together where the edges meet to create a sharp line. Set the blue color to 0% to create a fading effect. Add the third color stop where the other edge of the outline ends, using the same blue color with 30% opacity. Add the last color stop at the top using the red color. Duplicate the shape. The second shape will be used for the blur effect. With the circle still selected, go to the Effects panel and add a Layer Blur effect. Increase the blur value to 20 to create a subtle glow effect around the shape. Also, reduce the opacity of the color to make it more subtle. Select the bottom semi-outline and fill it with the same blue color at 30% opacity. Then select the top outline and fill it with the same angular gradient color. Readjust the color stops to align with the edges of the outline. Let's add the drive mode indicator to display the current drive mode of the vehicle. Type D using SF Pro Display, font size 64 with a font weight of heavy. At the bottom, type the modes such as Sport using the footnote regular text style. Fill with the foreground secondary color. The last step is to create the power button, which is very important for our car control app. This button lets users remotely start, stop the engine, lock, unlock the car, and quickly disable the vehicle in an emergency. It also helps manage the battery by turning off non-essential systems and more. Select the circle, fill it with the container color style, and add a border using the container border color style. Then, fill the power symbol with the foreground primary color. Next, add the symbol to Auto Layout and change the size to 60 by 60. Ensure the symbol is set to auto width and centered in the container. Then, fill the new container using the gradient blue-red color style and round the corner to 50 to create a circle shape. And add a stroke using the container border color style. The last step is to add a subtle drop shadow. Well done! We finished our car control app. Now you can customize it to your taste. In this section, we learned about gradient colors and how to use them. The next step is to create the AI app. We'll learn more about adaptive layouts, layout grids, spacing, components and variants, and Figma variables.